Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into this because I'm kind of curious to get some different points of view because I know that we all kind of have our own kind of genre of crypto that we'd like to pay attention to. Jeff is over in airdrops. Malik he likes racing ducks, and then
apparently everybody does because other people do it now too. We're building our own duck race now.
I heard you were saying on New Year's, and then of course I do DeFi. So the topic tonight, and we can bounce in and out of it, and just kind of let it flow. But I kind of want to get each of your input on when and if this market does take off again. What do you think is going to be the catalyst? What is going to make it kick off? Because I mean, it's been flat and dead for a while now. So we'll go around the horn. Jeff, what are your thoughts? What do you think is going to kick this next pump or bull market off?
Well, I've been thinking the injection of liquidity from the Fed, but after last year, I mean, I don't know what's up with these rate cuts. I know that Trump has picked, I forget the guy's name, as the next Fed chair, but I mean, looking at the Venezuela situation, the oil that's going to be coming on the market. I'm wondering how that will impact everything. So a lot of people seem pretty bullish. I've been in a bunch of Twitter spaces and everyone's talking about the bullish indicators on the monthly and weekly. And so it's looking pretty good, but I don't know. I mean, I know DeFi is going to have its place, but I'm kind of wondering how much longer we'll have these nice APYs for.
We can get today. We can get into that. But hey, Matt, what do you think? What do you think's the going to kick?
I was almost certain that we were going to have a bad first quarter, but whatever happened, either my sparkler or the raid on or Venezuela, whichever one was the catalyst for what's happening right now. I don't know which one it was, but either our New Year's Eve party or Madeira, could be both, right? It clearly has unlocked a pent-up energy that is in the market, and I feel like this is not I think, if anything, pullbacks are going to be bear traps, not bull traps. I feel like bulls have kind of taken over, and obviously everybody wants to see it go above $96,000 Bitcoin and then get to 100. Then I'll really believe we're like full blown, but I'm afraid to be too bullish because I've never seen a real bull market before, apparently, from what I've been told.
Me too.
I've never seen it. So I got in. I was in crypto during the last 2 months of the bear market before Luna went boom, and then life has been lots of shorting. So, but even when Bitcoin was rolling to its all-time high, it didn't do much for our altcoins, right? Drew was the only one that sold at the high. He's the only one I know that sold his altcoins, knowing that everything was going to pull back like some sort of magician.
So, well, there was some alts. So the ISO tokens, XRP, XLM, all that. That's what my whole portfolio was. So when those pumped, I sold them all, just because I didn't believe in it anymore. And that's when I got into DeFi. But Gina, what are your thoughts? What do you think is kind of causing this little baby pump that we've been getting, and what do you think is going to be what's going to send us high?
Well, I think that we're seeing a little pump. They're trying to test that 94K area, I believe, see if it'll hold. But also stuff going on in the news. You got Trump and also the market's going crazy. But I believe that we are going to see a bullish run pretty soon here. Like what May said, on the 4-hour charts are oversold. I expect a big retrace in the next few days. I'm not completely sure about the next few days, but I feel like it's going to happen very, very soon. I feel it in my bones.
You feel it in your bones.
Yeah.
Well, I hope your bones are right, because yeah, I'm with Matt. I haven't seen. I got into crypto at the very end of the last bull cycle. My first crypto was Shiba Inu, and I made a bit of money off that. I got in before it pumped, and then I spent the next 4 years, 5 years now, learning about crypto and investing. Putting my money in, and we were supposed to get the bull run last year, and it just never. Kind of those historical bull runs that we keep hearing about, these things of legend.
Yes.
They never materialized, and except for very select projects. So
you have to be lucky enough to be in one of those.
Yeah.
I feel like one soon, though. I really do. I really feel like we're going to see it soon. And plus, they're tokenizing global assets now.
How does that help you, Gina? What global assets are you buying?
I'm not buying shit.
I know. I'm just saying, how is that helping either of us? I don't.
But she didn't say that it was going to help her.
I know.
We asked what was going to make it pump.
Oh, you mean you think the RW they're going to make the whole crypto markets pump? Okay, that could work.
The fact that they're switching to tokens instead of paper money, and they're digitalizing everything. So I think we're going to see a little pump at least with everything else.
I would tend to agree.
I hope
I mean, of course, I'm biased. My thing is DeFi and RWAs, but everything that I look at all day long, news wise and things like that, is there is constant new regulation being passed. Here in a couple of days, I believe that the new framework for DeFi and things like that is going before the Senate for a vote. And of course, they already passed the Genius Act, the Stablecoin Act, and there's all the institutions. I mean, all the banks, the NASDAQ, the DTCC, working with Canton Network. All of them are tokenizing real world assets, stocks, bonds, treasuries, all real estate, all that stuff. So everything is going on chain. So if you just ignored the prices and just looked at what is physically going on with regulation, which is the rules, the rules of the road for the future financial system, that's all being drafted and passed right now. These institutions are building at breakneck speeds, and all of it's happening while the prices are, have been going down or sideways. This is a huge opportunity, in my opinion. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just what I'm doing. I see what's going on. The key for me is for these different projects, because of their unique tokenomics, how does the success of that chain translate to profits for the token holders?
Yes,
because they're all different.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on that, Malik?
I don't understand how it works. I want to believe there's a way for it to happen, right? And I have been a part of building tokens and mapping out tokens where the real world activities accrue value back, right? So I understand how in theory it will work, but I don't know that I see any that are out there where I can explain in basic terms how token goes up because revenue's coming in, or traditional ways that companies generate value.
So I'll give you an example. So Aerodrome is one that I'm very knowledgeable about.
I love Aerodrome. Yep.
Yes. And the way that it potentially could transfer that value to token holders is, one, it being deflationary, which is, they like burns and locks and things like that. So all of the fees, 100% of the fees on Aerodrome is either paid out to VE Aero, people that lock Aero, which is, VE Aero. And anything that's not paid out is max locked automatically. So, they don't, it's not like the team keeps the tokens and they have those to sell. So basically, it kind of gatekeeps those tokens, if that makes sense. So with a lot of the new things that are coming out here in Q2 of this year, they're claiming, still to be determined. I want to see it first. They're claiming that the Arrow token is going to be 85% deflationary. So with less tokens in circulation, potentially that's going to give upward pressure for price. And then of course the new platform being multi-chain. Me and Jeff did a deep dive on it, where there's 10 separate chains or more. That's just when we did the deep dive, that are going to be on Aerodrome now. So there's a lot of different things like that. Yeah.
Are they all EVM? They're all EVM, right?
No. There are some that are non-EVM.
Oh, that's going to be game changing for DeFi.
Well, it's going to be a game changer for Aerodrome for sure, because Aerodrome is doing huge amounts of volume and it's only on base network.
Right.
So Uniswap is multi-chain, and Aerodrome, for being a single chain, isn't that far behind Uniswap. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts as far as kind of tokens and projects, and what projects are you looking at that you see having the best potential due to their tokenomics to be able to transfer value back to token holders? Like Ethereum, you can stake now and they're paying dividends for staking.
Yeah, real quick, Deadwood, I think it's sometime in Q2 when Aerodrome and Velodrome are merging.
Yeah, it is. It's a Q2. Velo and Arrow are merging, and the new token comes out and the new platform launches.
But man, Canton, I'm glad you brought them up with the news about NASDAQ being a super validator. I don't know if you saw that yet.
I did.
But I wanted to bring that up today because that's going to be huge. Getting more financial institutions and traditional finance integrated. I see Canton doing pretty good things. I'm really excited for those of you who don't know, we have an interview on the 20th or
it's the 20th of January.
Founder of Canton Network, and they've been building for a decade, and we just heard about them last year. So they've been quietly building, and seeing all these partnerships and stuff is huge.
Canton was building before sort of crypto, or it was like the moment crypto started.
Pretty much.
No, like 2015, 2014.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, the founder was involved in some other projects as well, so he's got deep ties.
Canton is a direct competitor to Aerodrome, right?
No.
No,
Canton, I would say Canton is more of a competitor with XRP or Ripple. So Canton Network, they are exactly. They are the network for networks. So banks, institutions that have their own networks, but they don't necessarily want to share a network with other banks and other institutions because they don't want everything that's happening on their network to be visible to everybody else. Canton connects those siloed networks. So already Canton is generating $700,000 in fees per day. Now, how that potentially is going to transfer, over or translate over to token holders, that's another story.
$700,000 a day in fees?
Yeah, it's massive. All right, so
that's
speaking about RWAs real quick, so Polymarket announces that they're launching real estate prediction markets. So
I buy something next.
With the whole RWA play, you're going to see all these new features in prediction markets on probably predicting car prices and all kinds of other shit.
These prediction markets are getting out of control.
Dude,
I just got to say,
what are they? Yeah, like, dude.
Well, how much of that will dictate the way the market shifts? Because you saw with elections, right? How accurate they were with certain predictions, and when
Oh,
things
They're accurate. For politics, they're more accurate than polls could ever be because they're not asking biased questions, and people have to actually put their money where their mouth is, right?
I just mean, how many things do you need to gamble on? You know what I mean?
It is getting out of control.
Real quick, before we get too
shift
far down
to
the road,
real
Gina.
estate markets?
Hold on, real quick,
Yeah.
Gina. What tokens are you looking at? You know, what projects are you looking at that you're buying and holding long term, hoping that that they're going to get good price appreciation, and kind of what is it that you see that makes you think that they will?
Well, right now I'm kind of holding a little bit of everything, but Jasmine is something I'm holding.
OG token.
Yeah,
It's a Japanese token.
Yeah, in Japan, they're tokenizing a lot. Their banks are switching over. Crypto is becoming a big thing over there. So I see a big future for it, and especially all the Asian cryptos. I don't know all of them, but I know that they're switching their shit. So I believe that we'll see a nice pump in the Asian cryptos as well. And plus, I gotta support my people, but
I think I wanted to say something, but I didn't have.
Yeah, you're racist. No,
yeah.
no. JK.
Carry your privilege.
Okay. I'm not white, but
actually, Asians have more privilege than white people, man. Asians be kicking ass when it comes to
their starting IQ at birth. That's for sure.
Well, they start out with a higher IQ. Yep. They're a lot more successful. They're a lot more focused. Their family
structure is more intact.
Oh, dude! Like Asians, they have more privilege than anybody.
Yeah.
I can't say anything else. No.
Rice skinned is the best skinned.
What is it?
I'm rice skinned.
Rice.
Yeah.
Rice.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use rice for just about anything, right? So.
Oh yeah. Dessert. Dinner.
They got tiger moms.
True.
Yeah. You could use that as skincare and hair care. Everything. Rice is life.
Oh yeah.
Rice is life.
I eat rice with every meal.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I learned how to make rice in a pot with the finger method and stuff without a rice
cooker.
Yeah,
first knuckle. First knuckle.
First knuckle. I use my ring finger, but yeah.
Well, my ex is a Polynesian.
I lived in Korea for a year.
Oh fuck yeah!
You were in it.
Oh, actually, I have a pressing question from one of my.
Not North Korea, right?
What's the question?
For veteran crypto, is veterans back? What is veterans background? His actual background, like, is he really a lumberjack looking dude in a wooden cabin with a
built that cabin?
Board? I really hope it is. You got to ask the question we all want answered.
So this is actually how I started streaming. I retired from the military after 22 years in 2015, sold everything, moved up here into the middle of nowhere, bought 20 acres, lived in a tent, and built this cabin myself.
Hell yeah. Love it. You built that whole cabin?
Wait, where did you live when you built the cabin? Out of your car?
In a tent.
I knew it. I knew it.
That's dope.
So,
how's your back?
What's that?
How's your back? What did you sleep in? Did you sleep in like a sleeping bag, or did you have a cot?
Oh, just had a sleeping bag on the ground.
How's your back doing?
Oh, that's how I lived for a lot of my military career, was sleeping on the ground.
They rugged my stream.
Oh no.